Welcome to Claude Code News. Version 2.1.78 is here, and it's a meaty one. New hooks for automation, persistent plugin state, streaming line-by-line responses, a security fix you'll want to know about, and a long list of bug fixes that have been tripping people up. Let's get into it. If you're running Claude in headless or CI pipelines, you've probably hit situations where a rate limit or auth failure silently kills a turn and your automation just hangs or moves on without knowing why. The new StopFailure hook event fires specifically when a turn ends due to an API error, rate limits, auth failures, anything like that. You can now wire up a handler to log it, alert, or retry gracefully instead of debugging why your pipeline went quiet. Plugin authors, this one's for you. There's a new environment variable, Claude plugin data, that points to a persistent storage directory tied to your plugin. And crucially, it survives plugin updates. So if your plugin stores config, learned preferences, or any kind of state, it won't get wiped when users update. And on the flip side, when a user runs /plugin uninstall, they'll now get a prompt before that data is deleted, so nothing disappears silently. A small but noticeable quality of life change. Response text now streams line by line as it's generated, rather than appearing in larger chunks. This makes Claude feel more responsive in the terminal. You start seeing output sooner, and it's easier to track what's being written in real time. Nothing to configure, it just works. If you run Claude inside Tmux, you've probably noticed that iTerm2, Kitty, and Ghosty pop-up notifications, plus progress bar updates, never made it to your outer terminal. That's fixed. As long as you have set allow pass-through on in your Tmux config, those notifications will pass through correctly. One line of config and your terminal integrations work as expected. Here's a critical security fix to be aware of. Previously, if you had sandbox.enabled set to true in your config, but the required sandbox dependencies were missing on your system, Claude would silently disable the sandbox and continue running, with no warning. You might have thought you were sandboxed when you weren't. That silent failure is gone. Now, Claude will show a visible startup warning so you always know your actual sandbox state. There's a solid batch of bug fixes in this release. Large sessions over 5 megabytes that used subagents were silently truncating conversation history when you resumed. That's fixed. A nasty infinite loop where API errors triggered stop hooks that refed blocking errors back to the model is also resolved. The deny permission rules for MCP server tools weren't actually blocking those tools from being sent to the model. Now they are. And the worktree flag wasn't loading skills and hooks from the worktree directory, which defeated the point of using it. Fixed. A few more targeted fixes worth calling out. Claude's orange color was appearing washed out in VS Code, Cursor, and Code Server terminals that don't advertise true color support. That's now corrected. Voice mode, push-to-talk modifier combos like trailk were requiring a hold instead of activating immediately, and voice mode itself wasn't working on WSL2 with WSLG on Windows 11, both fixed. There's also a new Anthropic custom model option environment variable that lets you inject a custom model entry into the /model picker with optional name and description variables for display. That wraps up version 2.1.78, a release full of useful additions for plugin and automation builders, plus a security fix that everyone should be aware of. If you found this useful, hit subscribe to stay up to date on every Claude Code release. See you next time.